Guru Ratna Mandala Kamyataya.
That I think they are didn't teach you to Cheba Sene Jabata Choji, you know. Labrile, Tena Semidian La Shashimbata. Did that Mibala Taso, Yambashikela, Toma, Mibala, Anikasore, Midian La Semishashimbata, Mibala Taso, Yambashikela. Tene Sadu Medoba, no Teniji Shu, Majabar Joani, and the Tampa Denzuki, net Tampa, you know, or that the Kunga de.
So the source for what we've just mentioned, as far as the way of maintaining mindfulness, which has already been produced, old mindfulness, then this is the source for that is in the Lamrim, stages of the path. And it says, therefore, while one has one's mind placed upon the object support here, the object that one is focusing upon, and when you think, when you have the thought, I have placed my mind such that it is set on that object, then without newly thinking about that, but by means of that very thought, without the force of that very thought being interrupted, one should maintain the meditation continuously, the mindfulness continuously, and that's the special noble point of the way in which one relies upon or depends upon mindfulness.
Right. That is ane sumba tamba ranzam ji chonzu ni ramba rambi tsam ji chonzu de la ane jada newa te se tamba ma shu he ji le sim ji tu la he ji le sim ji josa tena da ane xie想开始学当想去个都具备准备什么呢人那说他说没这送把单儿这送把单儿没有了这送这样他反正这是呢你是明白了你这就是那的戳结巴的戳没比他的你多没把那么提车아니 사진 하단 대비 거네 참바 마쇼와 가니까 내진안도 아니 조와데 해지래네 셈샤나 아니 마지기 측간이 오대 심지들 참바 마쇼나 심지들라 해지지 심지 조사 되나다 세대 마지기 측간이다 야
So this leads into the third topic then. The third topic is the way in which one maintains mindfulness to the appropriate extent. And this is given in verses 19 and 20 of the root text, where it says that at the end of cutting off thought, when one is abiding in that, after cutting that off at that time, then without losing one's mindfulness, one should relax by loosening, and one of the sources for this is the statement of Machik, and it says, "Focus by tightening and relax by loosening. Remain in that place, remain where one has placed the mind, where one has placed the mind." And that's the quotation, and then the root text continues and says, and likewise. Where it says that if one relaxes the very character, the nature of mind, which is bound up in tangles, then one will be liberated without doubt. So as that is said, then one should relax without being distracted. And so those are the quotations from the root text. And the commentary here says that thus, once one has stopped, cut off mental diffusion, as soon as one has cut that off, and one remains without any kind of wavering, the mind is not wavering, then at that time, without losing one's mindfulness, which has that kind of acuity, sharpness and acuity, then one should relax by loosening the effort that one has, the exertion that one has done, and remain within the state of the mind being calm and abiding in the portion of the mind which is stable and abiding. And if one places the mind in that way, then this is just as it's expressed in those verses, 2 lines from Machik, and then also the quotation from the great Brahman Saraha, and those two verses that one should. That's where one is relaxing without distraction.
오야 마치 그 시간이다. 잠수 준비, 주비 준비 쓰면이练줘. 대소 매서 살아기. 아니 송 시간이지 된다를. 회길에 세대 아니 간들에서나 시간이지 많이 벌려봐 중세 인부 꾸위지 좋아 인부 꾸위 좋아 점기려 봐 인지 있어. 다님부 때기 배소치에 아니 좋아디 점기려 봐 인지 미발라 제지도 나베 사지 나자니 내자라 메네바 야 빼고 그래 진단 게 나자니 내자라 메네바 나타 내자라 메네베 파도 많이 파도 점기 빼고 그래.
So then those verses, the 2 lines from Machik, as well as the 2 lines that are quoted from the great Brahman Saraha, these indicate then how one does this. These show how one is to gradually relax the exertion that one is employing to induce the antidote that one is applying at a particular time. But it's not the case and one has to do that so that it doesn't, up to the point that it interferes with the abiding nature of the mind, so that the way in which one's apprehending the subject, that is, the way in which one is apprehending the object that one is focusing upon, the acuity of that mode of apprehension of the object, is the relaxation that one induces at that point shouldn't harm the character of the mind abiding upon the object.
No. tempe ture tempe 내자텔라 문에 봐 그래야지 띵지비비 가위배 tempe 마셔와 시와당 그래서 띵지비비 가위배 tempe 마셔와 시 tempe ture 송아지 거와 인자 내자라 많이 왔어야 아니 마치 그냥 따라 퇴나지 심기 dim라 세 거라 아니 미발라 심기 dim바 송바 이제 참바 마셔와 거야 돼 송고와 임바리 시송비 차례.
So this is clear that one has to gradually increase this relaxation without losing the acuity of the way in which one is apprehending the object here, and up to the point that it starts to interfere with the ability of the mind to remain on the object. And evidence for that is that where here this is the occasion in which one is expanding one's meditative concentration, increasing one's meditative concentration. That being so, then one can't lose mindfulness in the course of that. And then also, it's just as Machik has said, that she said one needs to focus by tightening. Focus by tightening is the first part of that.
Oh yeah, that did. Sajing Adan Dembi, any Neji to in Besajing Adan Dem, any Miba de Tembe Turisuki to in Be, 아니 하장 쪼와 땜바지나 아니 양 가서를 거바지 거니 쳇배 거바지에 그니 쳐와 이장 쪼 차불려 바래 마도 아니 쪼와 차불 땜바들려 바르는 배조 자와는 매벌려 바 말이 쪼 차불려 바 이제 배조려나 지 아니 쪼 려나 칭예 쳐와 예배 해질이 송고 디잔티리
So then the reason, then when it's where she says one should relax by loosening, here within this context, this is the occasion in which one has developed the mind's ability to abide on the subject with possessing some acuity and force. And when one is doing that, if one uses excessive exertion, employs excessive exertion, then since there's the danger of one becoming agitated, that fault arising, then that agitation would arise if one uses excessive exertion. So this is a relaxation of that excessive exertion. But it's not. But if one entirely relaxes, there's the danger of the fault of dullness occurring, and that's why she says, relax by loosening.
다 가서를 준비 셈니니 세를 주보 샤와네 안에 도비 터이 봐 도바사가기 라테 초테서 보면 도비 도먹을 비트수 안에 도바 치먹을 가서 도신 채나 안에 치월 규배 안에 르체 안에 다 가서래 차수 침비 송스와 준비 준비서 나나
So then, as far as the quotation from the great Brahman, Saraha, here the word tangle or knot it has the meaning of a restriction, something that's restricting one. And at the time when one doesn't need to employ that restriction, then there's the danger of excessive restriction is a fault. And one will be bound up by that. And therefore, that being the case, then the great Brahman has said one has to relax.
Oh yeah, 되나? 인제 되나? 내지 안도 선미발라 제지도 내외사 사지 안단데 바 제지도 내외 안도 아니 템베 아니 미버스와데 마쇼와 투레스와데 마쇼와 셈지 레셰나 아니 공도 삼보 샤바기 렘비 참송와데 다 중요하래.
So thus, when within the state of abiding, where the mind is abiding on the object of meditation, and without losing one's mindfulness, then the mind you relax the mind by loosening it. If one understands what that means to relax by loosening, then one will have ascertained and be governed by the appropriate measure of what is the way in which one is supposed to maintain the object of meditation, as explained previously, the appropriate measure. And this is why it's given this name of maintaining the way in which one maintains focus on the object of meditation to the appropriate measure.
Oh yeah, tadi semne random ji chongju chi menta watang. Ani random ji chongju di ani semne gugu na ne ani semne guwa nyamba juba semda chotimba. Right?
So this here, this way of doing this is accords with what one finds within the ninth mind state, where one has achieved that kind of equipoise, meditative equipoise or balance. Balance placement is translated sometimes. So this maintaining the object of meditation, one's focus on it to the appropriate measure is comparable to that.
Oh yeah. Ni labrin kasu tui chambarela ani tungi ne kasu chingwe metobe chingwe mo wagi ding tobi tuisu. Tomi tuising ani chunsen da 지금 미연나나 개배 나서 심내 개배 나서 나시 전에 최선다 그것이 전부 전에 아니 지와 용모라도 아니 전에 그것이 전부 전에 수위 이월의 교회 대체 교회 전에서 도서나 그것이 전부 전에 수위 이월의 교회 대체다 심리쇼고래 레쇼와도 고고래 어디 좀 배서 첨부치고 이월의 교회 아니 최선당 그것이 전부 전에 수위 이월의 교회 이장 대체 아니 현시에 봐 레고 레쇼고서 그냥 가서 더 용호도 샤바 나시做了吧인지 심지 진단근 말 어디 또 말해
So this is, as it is said also in the stages of the path, quotation is given from that, where it says that when one is commenced a session of meditation, and at the time in which one has a sort of firm confidence that that dullness and agitation are not occurring, then right at that time, So at the time when one achieves that kind of confidence about that dullness and agitation are not occurring, then since if there's just like when one had additionally begun to do this kind of practice, there's the danger of sinking and dullness and agitation, those faults occurring. The mind can be distracted by that confidence that one has that the dullness and agitation are not occurring. That itself can serve as a distraction for the mind, and so this is referring to when one is employing a great deal of effort to avoid dullness and agitation arising in the mind. And then by the application of that effort, you gain confidence that it isn't arising within the mind. Those two faults are not arising within the mind. And then then that very sort of effort and confidence that arises from it serves as a source of distraction. So therefore, at that time, one needs to relax to relax that exertion that one is employing.
Oh yeah, that is this one we say
And also, this is to finish that quotation. That is the relaxation of exertion, but it is not a giving up of the acuity of the way in which the force and acuity of the way in which one is apprehending the object.
그래서 오야 다더니 텐더비 당용 토비지 띵리지 공부나 증거 남충위 뒤수 당용 온도 제라 조와 미자바 차고 세간라 아니 텐더비 당용 토바 세간라 심 아니 조와 려바 조와 미지바 조와 려비기 아니 당용 토바 뒤세 띵리지 공부나 증거 남충위 뒤수 당용 조와 려바 그 당용 온도 제라 아니 조와 미자바 There's
another quotation as well that pertains to this, and here Gelug says, when one at the time one has obtained that kind of equanimity here, then and one is developing one's meditative concentration, then whenever dullness and agitation are about to arise, then one actualizes that kind of equanimity and places the mind without employing a strong form of exertion.
Oh yeah, 대다 자와 마치기 아니 가서 랜덤지 단념도 제거했어. 자 자와 네 심지트불라 제기때 셔와 인지 심지트다 된다디 가져와 공부셔봐 나신 전에 가서라 안된지 사지 뒤에 인비 뒤에 아니 가서래 저 잡을래 저 잡을 바데 레바데 대송도 잡을 배 레바 인장 심지트불라 제기때 셔와 인지 다 지정주대 다시 공부셔봐 나신 전에 3년 그 담보 니당 또 주기 담보니 3년 그 담보 줘봐다 지도 줘봐니 또 주기 담보 태와다 300돈니 이제 시나네 담보 준비 아니 이제 연수련 주다 도시자버레스 대야 통과레스 지 정주대.
So then here, this is clear that this is talking about the relaxation of a strong exertion, but not the loss of the acuity with which one is apprehending the object of meditation. That is the way in which one is holding the object of meditation. One doesn't lose that force of the meditation. And here in this in the root text of this text here, it says. Likewise, in an earlier passage in the root, earlier passage in the root text, it says, focus by tightly and look at it starkly or nakedly to the object of meditation, and so that pertains to that. And here then, with respect to the general way in which one maintains the meditation. Here, the first two of the 9 mind stages, the first two of them, and then the first two of the 6 powers or 6 forces, and then within the 4 attentions, the attention that operates by focusing with effort. These are the practice of those.
다 되니 담바 세베 종주대 안에 세네 파방아 세네 파방아 세가라 다 가로고 렌드 줘봐다 녀와 도바 줘봐다 두어 시와다 시와 쳐봐다 남바 시와 쳐봐 바바 제체 안에 또 숨바 안에 템베도 템베도당 아니 시신도 또 숨바당 시와 되니 아니 나비 초치 시가나 아니 가서 진주기도 초치 와 진주기도 초치다 이제 시기 나네 체진 주비 이제다 제 냠술련주 두신스레서
So then, as far as the previous form of maintaining mindfulness, maintaining the object of meditation through new mindfulness or fresh mindfulness, maybe, here that pertains. That's the way in which one practices the intermediate 5 mind states. That is number 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then it also is the way in which one practices the third of the forces, and then the third of the 4 forces, the fourth of the the third, fourth, and a portion of the 5th of the 6 forces. And likewise, the way in which one practices the attention, which operates interruptedly.
Oh yeah, 대체. 대체바 세베 존주 대체. 다 템바 님비 존주 대라. 안에 섬내 계기 나네 제주도 쳐봐. 개바 제주도 쳐봐탕. 동아위 나네. 아니 진주기도 없이 초치. 이제 시기 나네 쳐봐면 봐주비 이제 다 냠술련주 디나라 되고 말이야.
Then the way in which one maintains the meditation by means of old mindfulness, translating that literally, is the way in which one practices the 8th of the 9 mind states, and and within a portion of the 5th of the 6 forces, as well as the mindfulness that operates without interruption.
Oh yeah, tene tar anzam ji chondu la, ane semne gowa nyamba chupa ke semdang. Top chugen ane drivi top. Ane yiji shugen ane zowa meba chupi yiji je nyangsu lenzu ta tusuma dugu yambare.
Then the way in which one maintains the object of meditation to the appropriate measure is the way in which one practices the 9th of the 9 mind states, the balance placement or meditative equipoise, and the 6th of the 6 forces, habituation, as well as the attention which operates that operates without exertion.
Oh yeah, that is doji chen. Then the randele semnen drubi tashaba, nawa pembu shedang. Then the druba chevi tingi ji ngo ni sheso mandu sumbi cher se o de reseta. Then dinam shunshimi sheba chishin du nyamse lemba debe menga samo yino dinam shunchimi sheba chishin nyamse le lor debe menga samo yino. Ta ti jela shendra jitane chuchontu te insare.
So then, here then in the auto commentary, the auto commentary itself quotes a portion of the root text, and it says, as far as the explanation of the method by which one achieves the mind states, one begins with this indeterminate indeterminate appearance. And that's the quotation from the root text. And then with the auto commentary, it says, here, moreover, here with respect to the basic character of the meditative stabilization, meditative concentration, which is to be accomplished here, and it's explained that's a quotation from the auto commentary. So because of all of those statements, all of these are this entire instruction is a profound special instruction, which presents in an easy fashion, presents in a way which is easy to practice. This development of meditative stabilization, just as it's been explained in the great texts.
Oh yeah, that is Randela. Simply to take a jubicu is similar, Lena Trova, Tesson Meche, Sumbadam, and my Namdo or station. That is jealous and that is Casore, Sandra Gitania Josuni. Oh, Namdo Kanjing or La. There's a round la Tonsacher. Teaching Nezia Tabana, Madrid Tonsa Shigawa, Toa Neju Deva Shi, Trashing Namdo Gigi, Yang, Svetu Tatimasundu. Dela, Yodadi Tambo, Namdo Kanji Wola, there's a Raya Tonsacher. Teaching Nezia Tabana, Madrid Tonsa Shigawa, Toa Neju Deva Shi, Trashing, Setigi. 남도 강제자양 아니 순진지 남도 강제장 남도 랑근 오라파 대비체 아니 남도 대간에 라야도 소위 아니 동사차바다 아니 남도 대내위체야 아니 sem중 오라파 다바나 sem중 오라 다바나 아니 동상 사리도 차와 니 아니 차바메버 통화텔라 내주 대와 인시 you go to Banamla and the Chawata until a tanya Najuteva Tanya said, Tonga trashing.
So here this is next topic is the way in which one maintains and develops meditation using, here it's employing the conventional, the terms that are used to designate this practice that are used commonly used by others. And so this is in verse 21 of the root text. And it says that at the time when one has looked at the character of whatever kind of thought has arisen, then it will dissipate on its own, and a vacuity will arise. And likewise, similarly, if one examines it while one is abiding in that state, the mind is seen to be unobscured, empty, clear, and vivid. And this vision of the mind in that way is commonly known as the combination of abiding and movement, it's like stasis and movement, or stasis and fluctuation, but one could say abiding, abiding and movement. So here then the commentary on that says, at the time that one has looked at the character of whatever kind of thought has arisen, then with that, by looking at it in that way, and it can stop the thought, stop that very thought, and the thought will dissipate on its own. And when that's occurred, then it appears as a kind of vacuity, And likewise, when one is abiding or remaining in a stable way, if one examines the character of the mind, one sees that it's a vacuity, clear, and it appears very vividly. And when one sees that those two are without any kind of difference, then one has achieved this mixture of stasis and movement, of stasis being like the non-moving part, and the movement being movement.
그래서 오야 탄예자소 자신 세세데 자상 로자 세솜 세데 아니 랑그 미데바 현지데바 타면 바래 현지 뒤수든지 요아래 세데 진단디양 자신 현지 탄예 데바 꿰네 아니 랑그 아니 반지 랑그 가주 잔진이가 가주 가야 맞아 아니 제시다 보고 봐라 아니 차소바 가시기 찾아와다 조금 봐 가시기 내주 제수 뭐 저봐 시도 가세스 아니 배저 고마 반전 아니 배선 반전 이시기 내주 제와들라 아니 가주와 말에서 손셔대 가주 지안 매대 배나 집바 담보 여봤다고 미바라 집바 담보 여봤지 미바라 내와대 담보 내와체 집바 제와데 아니 가서를 좀바체 미바 집바 제와다고 아니 미바라 마네 미바 샤라 주와 좀바다고 주와다 제위 집바 편지기 제위 아니 가서를 나가 제와 인스 집바 편지 제 편지기 아니 카 제와 나가 제와다고 안 제와 인시 아니 제 참바를 보지라 가자와 예수 더나 자신 시다들라 제가 제대로 가나 야 비주조가
So here then, this in the root text. So to finish that, what was just stated, this is commonly held by earlier former great meditators, and they developed this kind of designation for this sort of meditation practice, and so this combination, mixture of that which is static or motionless and that which is moving, stasis and movement, or And so here in the root text as well, it says it's known by this term. The word known here or said to be means that that here the Panchen Chugyen has presented a designation which is accepted by others. He's sort of placed that forward, but without rejecting it or accepting it on his own. And this is clear that from both the root text as well as the commentary, that he didn't, in the root text or the commentary, he neither rejected it nor did he establish it from his own side. So therefore, this presentation of this is given as something that is to be examined, as a subject to be examined. And then here it says further that some practitioners of Mahamudra and Dzogchen have said that this mixture of things that are static and things that are moving is the combination of these negu dresum.
내주 대서 못 들어봐 신도 가세스 내와도 누와도
So that
대와서 못
so that there's three things here. One is a thing being kind of understood as in a static sense, not moving, motionless, and then another is that it's as a flickering or a moving thing. Would be the second sort of quality of it, and then the mixture combination of those two together. So some practitioners of Mahamudra and Dzogchen have said that the being introduced or having this pointed out to you, these three things, the stasis, movement, and the combination of the two, those three, is extremely difficult. However, one of a former Panchen Lama, Panchen Rinpoche, Pelden Yeshe, has said that this is not anything all that difficult. That these three things are not especially difficult. For example, when there's a wall which is stable, then it's existing in a It's in a static kind of mode. It's just sitting there firmly, and then however, if that wall has been broken down into a lot of bits, has been broken down, then it's a thing that is undergone movement.
Oh yeah.
펜송기 카드레
와서 지금 편지 제와기 난가드와 카드와서.
So here then, and then sort of so first would be when the wall is sitting there in a stable way, and then the second would be when it is undergoing destruction.
Oh yeah. That's why.
카드레바.
난가드와.
남카드레바.
난가드레다와는 예체요 말에 저거 편지잖아.
And then it's not something that's then once it's undergone that entire eradication or destruction, then it's not something. The wall isn't something that is to be have. Sort of like a lot of confidence in, something that one should take as something that's very subject of confidence.
That 인제 되나 얘게 다시 통원내 주대와시 차신 세대라 차시와 다시 쉬워나신 디라 까까다 쳐발래 아니 까까다 쳐발래 또 까까 쳐발래 저기 로자 저기 나라 로자 세서 무슨 대지 대외되니 땜배 순서 로 세나시 전에 아니 로자 세서 무슨 좀 말아봐라로 믿어봐 현지 돼봐 아니 현지 일이 되고 요래 세와가 청나신 그러와 저기 로자 세서 따라 좀 말아 비치인原讲他开外讲呢，俺那 심내위 탑수 쪽으로 심내위 탑수 내주 되었어요. 세내위 탑수 제주自己도 매년 되어봐대. 심 아니 가나 갑디나 차제시 뭐 공가이나 아니 사람이 봐. 대마인 봐. 아니 뭐봐 칸을 때게 있나요? 아니 自己도 뭐봐들 매년 되어봐대. 내와당. 대응하네 내와 대응하네 아니야 가서를 남도 현주와 와 남도 현주와 남이라서와 친구라서와 남도 현랑바디 주와 주와대야 심지 차고 이인배 따나 아니 미서봐 따나 남도 대 미서봐 고양 고간에 자유 심라 팀네 아니 자유 심들라 팀네 아니 내와대 아니 내주 대와 탕 대다 주도 냠도 르바데 내주 르숨이야 세
So here then, this is this statement in the root text where it says the term here is known by this name. That and taking this practice as being something that is exceedingly difficult to do is actually probably, or rather, the fact that Panchen Losang Chugyen used the word known in this particular way is within the here. It's similar to the way in which the word lo in Tibetan is used in the context of like Abhidharma text and so forth, where that way of that term of expression indicates that the author of the text is presenting a position which is not entirely acceptable to himself or herself. To restate that, in these kinds of treatises, when you say another person says that, the particular term that is used to indicate that shows that you, as the author of this text, do not accept the position as it's presented by the other person. So that's what this term indicates here. It's a term which indicates that the author was not entirely comfortable with the way in which it is presented by others. However, if somebody practices this, and someone who is learned, skilled in it, practices this properly, it can function as a method for having the mind abide in and develop the process of shamatha. So, and this is shown by what follows. When one remains single-pointedly focused, when one remains single-pointedly focused on the object of meditation, then one is in a kind of state of stasis, non-movement. And then from within that kind of state, when thoughts rise up, that is movement within that state of single-pointed focus. And since it is the case that that movement of thought arises out of the door of the mind. The mind itself is the sort of source from which that thought arose. So therefore, if you examine that thought that's arisen, it's not able to withstand that, and it will dissolve back into the basic mind that it arose out of, and then one will be able to remain as one was previously. So returning back to that place, that state of stasis, where before there was the movement of thought within the mind, and that itself is here what is called the combination of stasis and movement and bringing them together. And if one does that in that way, then one can also say that is rikpate negyu rikpasum yangi sir. Detar gyuduk nyamdu rikpate. Detar gyuduk nyamdu rikpate. Negyu rikpasum yang sir.
대신에 개발 장나 셈내위 터스도 그래서 도당 가르래서나 제주도 미발라 제주도 맨날 더바디 내와다체 뒤간에 남도 랑와디 주와체 와 남도 랑와디 남도 깨밤 남도 랑와디 주와체 주와 남도 주와령 아니 셈지 차고 임배 아니 될라 따나 미셔봐 아니 자위 셈될 남도 자위 셈될라 팀네 아니 자위 셈될라 셈 가서를 내와텔라 아니 내주지와스 그래서 데려와 대치자로와 나 디오라 대다 주도 냠도 르바데 내주 르스무스
So understanding it, if one understands it in that way, if one understands that this process in that way, then one can say that this is all. One can also call this the three things: stasis, movement, and awareness. Those three things.
자더니 간다래야 아니 남도 말랑바움 남도 마기 공기 아니 셈기 내자태다 셈미발라 내위 내자태다 봐도 남도 라바 봐도 남도 깨네 아니 텔라미바소야 남도 까비 남도 라바 까바기 내자니 내자니 타라 예매도 되네 줘봐더라 스타스고 와리
So in any case, then there's the portion of the mind's ability to remain on the object, that portion of the mind which existed before any kind of thought arose within it, and then after one has then in the intervening period, thought arises within the mind. And then when one stops that thought as well that has arisen within the mind, then there's a subsequent instance of the mind abiding remaining upon the object. Then those two, at the end, if one, it takes those two states of the mind abiding on the object and mix them, and one can blend them together, mix them together indivisibly, then one has placed the mind in that state.
Oh, yeah. Donna, 신에게 추마요 와라세 셈미발라 제주도 내비 신에게 추대 신에게 추마요 와세가 미바 아니 신도 마요 마저와 미요와 내와라 아니 상동 냐 추바 상동 그 냐중 추바 나신시가 상동 그 아니 유 소소도비 셰럽기 상동 그 아니 냐중 추바다 제바티기야 아니 신에게 셈미바 제주를 내와달라 미제바 미네바 미네바 남니 내주대와 은혜 탄데 디레 내주대에 대와 은혜.
So in brief then, here if one takes shamatha, that mind abiding in that tranquil state, as like water which is motionless, and within that, it's similar to the way a tiny minnow floats around within that calm, unmoving pool of water, or one could say that it moves about within that water. And so insight is like the analysis that takes place within the sphere of the stabilization of shamatha. And by means of that, when one is doing analysis by means of insight, without one is not disturbing the ability of the mind to remain on the object stably, And so that sort of function or using insight within the context of shamatha in this way, such that the analysis that takes place is not disturbing the stability of the shamatha itself, then that is the actual way in which one combines stasis and movement.
Oh yeah, that is. Oh, that's it. Neju chewa ngore, sela me kaso de la min dolu tang, min dolu chang, ane shung chemi, tanya kanye le, stasa de ne sumba ki shung chemi, tanya kanye le, ane rangi, rasu cheni, ane zizi mabu miteba. Gyawi tenpa, pendi shi yinba, shewa shi ki samna, tela gwa chenpo yoba, tonne, shen la labi teba ki yongde, ane sanlong midu, sungada.
Tick tick, tick tick. Wrong to. Tick tick.
Tick 가세리. 지부둑세는 야 가서 그러다. 야분이 말이야. 야보다 잡지부 말이야. 직직세는. 직직세는 다 그랬어 그랬다 디미디 다지 사람서 마상하나 야보 예 돈도 치기도 야보 예 돈도 치기도 돼 지지 마보 자장시 야보 예 돈도 치기 시장시 라수기 선이 아니 형대기 야보 예 돈도 다 지지스네 마보 미스 된데 미제 봐 야보 예 돈도 된데 미제 봐 개위 때문에 팬디 시인 봐 시와시게 삼나
So thus this is the actual way in which one blends together stasis and movement, as mentioned above, by combining shamatha and insight. And this is the tradition of Gelama, of Je Rinpoche, Je Tsongkhapa. And likewise, within the, as far as the way in which one has, he has designated his tradition of explanation, it's he did that in accordance with the terminology which is employed within the great treatises. Without sort of adding a lot of different, some kind of different details or something that were his own fabrication. And then someone who understands that the teaching of the Buddhas, the victorious Buddhas, is the foundation of well-being and happiness, then, and someone who understands that, thinks about it like in that carefully, then they'll see that there's a great purpose for this, and this will be a cause for them giving rise to kind of more and more faith and confidence than before.
Oh yeah. 근데 다 남도 공고라 따두지. 네갑지 남도 공고라 따루데 남도 강제장 아니 뒤응오데 잡이 셈대다 저와매봐 계산바시 이념도 대위잖아 이거 말이었어 대위지 텐저 많이 봐 다와 텐저 많이 봐 아니 잡이 셈지 왕기 잡아 셈지 왕기 아니 셈지 두어 총마도 아니 셈지 찾으텔에 아니 마대와 통과 가지고 그랬어
So then, with respect to the way in which one looks, is to look at the character of the thought in this context here. Then whatever here one shouldn't look at it such that when thought arises, regardless of what kind of thought it is, one shouldn't look at it as something, wondering whether or not this is something that is completely separate and unconnected from the basic mind, which is the source of this thought. So one should examine, one should not do it like that. Rather, one should realize that apart from being a transformation of that occurs by the force of some temporary condition here, this refers to some kind of operation within the root, the basic mind, which is out of which the thought is arising. It doesn't go beyond. Thought doesn't occur something that needs to be seen as going beyond the basic way in which the generality of the mind arises and appears.
Oh yeah, that didn't. Oh, andila. 显了他比他那个种族这么越白，俺那现在去他那是名大娃的写的，是吧？他天天我那么多人家属种族呢，写的那么多季节讲美国吧，俺那我也是把钱呢，哦，那么多他说季节讲美国吧，我也是把美国就往我也是把가지 남도 지 가지 지하제 타지야 봐. 가지 남도 지제자 미국 주왕의 심바 체디 태인 오 남도 태인 오라 아니 조바 증지 차준이 푸이베다 충분히 지다 스네 푸이 차로니 초나군도 라야 대법신 시와 오다 되나시레스 다 여기 가성구도에서나 남도 가대 남도 지지자 미국 주왕의 심바 세대기 태양 남도 지제장 아니 남도 지체도 미국 봐 남도 되기 아니 강라 남도 줄에 끼어보면 남도 그 주와대 아니 지중의 심바 차네 주와대 지중의 심바 차대 아니 남도 경오대라 대배 남도 경오라 ram법수 줘봐대 대배 아니 남도 탕쳐봐대 니도 탕쳐봐대 남도대 아니 자위성이 토토하고 저 남도 되기 남도대 자위성이 토토하와 밥에 주세나기 자전 부입배다 송발에 야
So those were then a discussion of the ways in which one maintains the mind and maintains the focus on the meditative object in accordance with by stating the terminology that is employed by others. And then the next topic is the way in which one maintains meditative development by having thought stop on its own. And this is given in verses 22 and 23 of the root text. And so it says that the root text here says, whatever thought arises, don't stop it, but identifying it, identifying it, and place oneself in its basic character, into its character. This placing the mind into that character is similar to the example that's given for this is that this is similar to the example of the caged bird on a ship, which flies and returns to the ship. And then an explanation of this example is given in verse 23. Just as a crow, which has flown from a large ship, it goes around through all of the different directions, and it again returns and alights on the ship, just like that. So that's the example. And here it says, the explanation of that is that whatever thought arises, you don't deliberately try to stop it, but at the time that the thought is moving, one needs to identify the way in which it is moving, a way in which that movement is occurring, and then place one's allow the so that by the very character of that thought, it will return. It will it will return to its own sort of natural state, and it will thought will quickly become tired, and it will return and alight back upon the basic mind. And so the example that's given for this is that if you, like on a great ship on the ocean, there's a bird which is kept in a cage, and the bird is let out to fly on occasion. So the example for that is given here. The source for that is in the Doha again, and it says that just as a raven or crow which flies off of the ship, it goes about in all of the different directions, and again it alights upon on the ship again, just like that.
that 중앙기 차로다 푸른다고 세 이두가 tinpe니 거니까 밥사연나 전에 푸대 잡아인 밥사연나 잘라서 대밥 대만인 봐 안에 라를 안에 전화도 코와나시 바사 많이 봐 전화도 코와 니는 디치마디 인시 바사 많이 주순 라 전화도 코와 디치마 입에 공신 샘준비 뒤수 샘미발라 제기도 나 뒤수 까보다보 나나 아니 까보나위 나나 고비 편바 유점지 까보나와도 고비 편바 유점지 아니 편바 매바 많이 봐 편바 유점지 차도 까보나와들라 초를 주네 대마가봐 차 초를 주네 대라 손도 줘봤다비 최지 제기도 대외 아니 까보라 초아 매바 초자 매바 아니 심나도 두아
So here then, this is saying, so the example that's given in the Doha is explained like this, that for example, if you have a raven or a crow or a pigeon which is held within a ship, and you release that, then if there is a place for it to alight, like a rock or something, then it will alight on the rock. But if there's something like a crocodile or some kind of a shark or something, then and it doesn't find a place to alight, then it will come back, and it will come back into the ship, and so just like that. Here, chima yimpe. Dear chima yimpe. Chima yimpe.
주신다고 차로다 푸른다고 이나 아니 밥사 많이 봐 이제 자주나라 밥사 매봐 이제 라야 아니 자주 갈 주나 전화도 코와도 빼라자
두나도 코.
전화네 핀네 밥사 많이 봐 라야 주나도 코와도 빼변자 밥사 많이 봐수 전화도 코와 니래서 다 치마디체 네 치마 임배 대배라잖아요. 공시 샘집이 뒤서야 까보나나 아니 까보나와데 고비 편바 유점지 차도 까보텔라 초를 중내세 까보데 나네 아니 텔라 샘 조바다 위세 가라 까보텔라 아니 까보나와데 조바다 위세데 최지 제지도 대외 아니 대초네 초자 매봐 까보나와 초자 매봐 아니 야라래 아니 샘 나도 두바지 그래서
So here then the example is like in the second case where the bird, the crow or pigeon has not found a place to alight. So it comes and it comes back to the ship and alights again on the ship, returns and descends on the ship. So here it's like that similar case. When one is in the process of trying to hold the mind on the object of meditation, and if there's like a light, white light appears, then by simply I'm sorry, I don't get that. Couple nana, gope pampa yutsamgi.
까보라 이니 까보라 초로 주네 까보 나와들 셈데 초로 주네 텔라 셈 줘봤다 위 체기 아니 까보 셈미바 까보텔라 줘봤다 위 체기 아니 까보라 제주도 때외 아니 되네 아니 가서라 대초네 까보라 제주도 나와지 초네 아니 초자매 봐야 수 안에서 자외미 발라 나도 도와준 그래.
So then here, like if you're doing this meditation and you're trying to hold the mind on the object of meditation and say that an appearance of like white light appears within your mind and it's interfering with your meditation, here by simply sort of focusing, staring at that white light without making sort of great effort to eliminate it, it will diffuse on its own, and then one's mind will be able to return back within itself and be able to return to the object of meditation that one is attempting to focus upon.
Oh yeah, 아니 대야가 자와기 나라 아니 가서 미국 주왕의 심바 최대 대용어라 줘봐 세디 어떻게 어라 줘봐 세위 된데 저는 들이 어라 줘봐 세와니 줘봐 많이 장 미국 심 까보텔라 아니 줘봐 많이 장아 제주도 대위 줘비면 그 따와래 까보 나왔더라 제주 까보라 제주도 대위 아니 콜라 줘비면 그 따와래 민게다 초주장 미조와 펜비 추인 바래 소주바래데 아니 까보라 뭐좀 까보라 미조와데 나도 두와데 아니 펜베 추인베 고비 펜바 셈년 주비 깝기 아니 지당에 왔고 그래서 아니 전도 초하고 바데 지당 고에나 아니 셈년 주비 깝기 미바지다 고그래
셈년 주비 깝기 지당에 왔고. So here then, thus, where it says place it on the nature or the character of the mind, saying that is not an actual placement of the mind, but is by looking at it single-pointedly, it is given, because one is looking at the interfering object here single-pointedly, then it's given the name, it's designated with the name of placement, but it's not the actual placement such as one does when one is placing the mind on the actual object of meditation that one is attempting to develop stabilization on. And then 미조 펜페 주인페 고페 펜퍼 숨네 갑지다 네 바꾸
이거를 줘봐세데 고소야 이거를 줘봐세데 아니 좀 줘봐 많이 장
조금만 인경
아니 심바 까볼라 쳐와 까볼라 제주도 대외스 와 제주도 대외 아니 콜라 줘보면 그 따와레스
노스 디 그래서 조축향 미 조 펜페 주인페 고페 펜파 심네 주페 합치 치탕에 바그 디 냐마소
가르세
조축향 미조
심미발라 초주장 미조와 펜베왕 그래 펜비 추레스 심미바 까볼라 초주장 미조와데 아니 펜베왕 그래 펜베 추인베 고비 펜바 미발라 초 고비 펜바 초나 고비 펜바 셈년 주비 깝다 치드는 게 왔고 그래. 야. 초주장 미조와데 뭔지 펜베왕기 펜비 남주 인베스. 고비 펜바 셈년 주비 셈 고비 펜바도에 대해서는 주고 감나시 전에 당고래스 아야다
조축향 미조 펜페 주의
초주장 미조와데 아니 뭔지 펜바 당고 왕 그래스
남규 편
펜바 그만 그랬어.
네. 꼭배 편파.
펜비 투 인베스. 야,但是说，在我的背景都得送上下，别那给跟开外，给住给出去把通那，给跟开外给住给出去把通那，差都没些马些事呢，没过呗，你查把的没过呗，真的没过把的是差都开始穿马些事呢，你查把的没过吧，查给跟出去把的没过吧，真的带我那是没带的。没带完呢，偏僻出去，俺那的马些些当到给偏僻出去，我真的带完呢，偏僻出去，给就给才能，俺那才呢，没有俺那接着就把它抓送，好过算。呀，他问你说什么的？
So this is like an example of where if you, or the sentence I just was unable to translate is illustrated by an example. And it says here, for example, if you have a skillful teacher and he observes, he sees that his students are engaged in their roughhousing, they're roughhousing with each other, fighting or wrestling or whatever. And then he doesn't stop them from doing that by just immediately saying, don't do that. So he doesn't stop them in that way, but rather he focuses eyes on them, and by focusing upon them, in that sort of focus, then he's able to get the students to and by that sort of like a strong intention, he's able to transform the attitudes and the sort of motivations of the students, so that they stop playing and goofing around like that, and then so he's able in that way to quickly stop them from engaging in that kind of play and playful activity and sort of that sort of thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's my daughter. Oh, that's it. Oh, just about that trouble. 他出去么了？哪件区别？出去一门啊敌人啦，看到下巴出去个门啊敌人啦，是不是见马些呢？老板就说，让那马得把今年吃完，那些我的卡球是吧？你他这个出去，那么多人家了，主要的了，那么多人家是准备种植些没打完的是。
So this is if that isn't the case, then if one is able to accomplish, if one was able to accomplish the stability of the mind simply by cutting off the diffusion of the of thought, then we would also be able to do that quite easily. There wouldn't be anything superior about that. Then no one would be able to do that in a way which would be superior to ourselves. And so here then it says that this instruction of the great adept is something that is found within the great treatises as well. It's appropriate in that way, and if one doesn't carefully analyze it and understand it through analysis, it's quite possible that this could lead one astray. Or, on the other hand, one could give rise to a lack of faith in it, and that's a great danger. Therefore, it's extremely important to understand the essential points of this.
今年现在什么讲完了盘托为起的，我那时候什么讲完了盘托吧，给按照我那时候写为起的， 아니 두완당 뛰네 아니 란지 가서 대상기 두자 남지 아니 심지 샤다 추구권에 잖아 담비 자고 추구래 소만 나시제 다 샤다 추부디마 송거리시 지리 뒤담지 담비 자고 미조양 샤다 되점 대상 잖아 담비 자고 추와 송바다비 공반 강이 남아 네바리 쳔바자고 그래
So then, by means of this skill in this kind of this sort of device for allowing thought to sort of dissipate and to stop on its own, this is because it operates in that way, it's given this name of the way in which one maintains the object of meditation by allowing thought to stop on its own. And moreover, this one needs to understand how this can function in various ways to benefit one's maintenance of the mind abiding in a stable fashion on the object of meditation. And then, in accordance with the times, the auto commentary has said that that moreover, for disciples of nowadays, if they practice this, preserve this, and develop mental stabilization by means of these 6 methods of placing the mind, then they'll become masters of the instruction or kings of the instruction. So it says, and then the explanation of that statement from the auto commentary is that in general. This much, so just in general, by merely this, one, although it's the case that one wouldn't actually become a master of the instruction or a king of the instruction by merely doing those kinds of practices, that if one is able to maintain this properly nowadays, then one could actually become a master of the instruction in that way. And so one should definitely understand what the intention of this statement, of these statements were.
Oh yeah, that's it. Somebody said that to me. Then that again, touching the chimpanzee, running nala, and a castle. Ah, so the chat since I need to change that. She should the same between them. Tabana, Madu 上个我建议开发没不通的，那就这吧，国际把那么的查些，他也在做。然后3年讲到几大的，那么多近代学家美国吧，读了我也先把查的，那么多的我来大型抓了，台大下把他就我刚才那完了，假设性别听了就有人不送啊，查准也就那不是得几百千块钱，台大昨年普洱一查了前年让他再把写送把其他讲的，然后根本。那么多了，绝对没现金，那么多把那没多把钱都没管把，身边上找了讲说组长，我们现在一把协助啊打罗斯，他天上给都在那么些甚至下到出去过来，然后呢，蛋白教我去了，谁的他得应把的，甚至下到出去过来，咱们蛋白教我去了，其他些呢，大的呢，甚至下到这一过来，蛋白教我去了，谁的。아니 정단 차비 인식사 세대 정단 차비 인식사 아니 대한 변화 정단 차비 니마 신도 중국에서 봐 로유지 지요 4년 다 중국이 로부지 지요 4년 아니 세미발라 줘봤다 아니 정단 차비 인식죠 세체 근데 이제는 중间看了电信查下 谁干了？查中看了电话说的，让咱们去，你交吧，小半年让咱们去交吧，看了电话现在让咱们去交吧，呀。
So this is, we've returned to the auto commentary here that's explaining verse 22. And it says, moreover, and this is explaining that that if one, that line which was just mentioned in the sub-commentary, that moreover, if nowadays, those who are trying to train themselves in this, practice this by means of the 6 ways of placing the mind, those methods, then they would become the kings of this kind of instruction. And if you say, how is that, how so? Then there are various examples that are given. There are 6 methods of placing the mind. One should place the mind like the sun, which is free from clouds. One should place the mind like a condor, which glides in space, in the sky. One should place the mind like a great ship on the great ocean. One should place the mind in the way that a small child gazes at a temple, and one should place the mind similar to the way the tracks of similar to the way the tracks of a bird that has flown by in the sky. And one should place the mind similar to the way that the cotton or wool has been spread out. So here the auto commentary is quite clear on this with regard to the first example. For example, when the sun appears in the sky, a sky which is free from clouds, it's extremely clear and lucid. It exists in a very clear and lucid fashion. Just like that, the nature of the mind, which is luminosity or clear light, when it's not obscured by any kind of the thoughts which misapprehend the signs of things, or it's not obscured by agitation or dullness, etc. Then, when those have stopped, then the luminosity or clear light nature which is the nature of the mind, is like the sun, which is free from clouds.
Rangshuji and Nagala Jua Shindu, Petela Goni, Sem Hajan, and Mibala Chimbada, Hajan Heraba Mayimba, and a Tule Rambi, Tule Rambo, and a Sajin Ardan dancing, and a Chalu Chaba, and a Chambaza, Shishin Jada Madrawa, and a Donatella, or Chunjan Kalatisha.
So the second example is like, for example, like a condor, which is moving while at the time that it's moving in the sky. Then it doesn't need to exert much effort as far as flapping its wings. It doesn't need to do that, but is able to glide just out of its own force, from the force of its ability to glide without needing to flap its wings. Similar to that, the mind, if one has the mind such that it's not over focused or over relaxed, without being over focused or over relaxed. And the mind will then have a focused core, and that focused core will possess the ability will have the capability to maintain the clarity of what one is focusing upon. And then sort of on the side, if one relaxes with that, then then one will maintain the meditation practice, the focus on the object of meditation, without being separated from the seals of mindfulness and introspection.
Oh yeah, that didn't. Sumba de la, Jazu Chimbi Sinsha said. Jazu Chimbi Sinsha said, Bena Jazu Chimbo Lungu Jang, Lungi. And a cut of Junsa and a Chuna, cut Junsa, you are to Jan Lungi, and it 띵요면이와 티신도 아니 셈미발라 조비 체양 남도 참목게 중세 유회장 남도 라바게 아니 중세장 미워와 줘야 돼다 어자주 준비 진시 줘야.
So then the third example then is again like a great ship, which is on a ship which is on a great ocean. Place the mind like that. And the example here is that, for example, even if the ocean is stirred by wind, and there's some movement of waves on the surface of the ocean, a little bit of wave action going on the surface of the ocean itself isn't disturbed. The main body of the ocean doesn't waver. It can't be moved by the wind. Similar to that, if the mind is when one places the mind upon the meditative object, even though it wavers to a certain extent by some subtle forms of thought, it won't be one is able to place the mind such that it doesn't waver at all by coarse forms of thought.
내니다 시와데 아니 부중하간 다신 샤스 부중하간 다신 샤스 배나 아니 부중 하간소라 따위세 아니 르모라 소와게 아니 차샤 참모나라 미다마 도좀 미줘봐 차샤 참모나 도좀 미래 차라발 아니 짜와라 아니 셈마이바 따와나 신체니 아니 셈미발라 조비 체양 아니 왕신아 광의 왕시 유도 오명 지샤양 아니 왕시를 유 지샤양 태라 도좀 미줘봐 지샤양 도제다 차다 미줘봐 아니 자에 미바들라 셈제주도 아니 줘봐들라 부군하간 다시샤.
So then it says one should place the mind like a child gazes at a temple. And the example here is that when a child is gazing at a temple, then the child looks, doesn't investigate carefully, doesn't examine closely the subtler aspects of the murals that are on the temple, like in the walls of the temple inside, but rather stares without any kind of distraction at the overall beauty of the design, the main sort of feature of the design. And so when one places the mind on the meditative object, if one does this, whether or not some kind of beautiful or unattractive object objects which are considered within the five senses, five kinds of sensory objects, whether they're beautiful or unattractive, whatever they arise, one places the mind single-pointedly upon the meditative object without engaging in any kind of analysis of that or of those objects that are appearing, or giving rise to attachment or aversion. A fifth example is like the tracks of a bird in the sky. For example, when a bird has flown through the sky, there's no tracks that are left over from that. And similarly, one places the mind in this equilibrium, in a kind of state of equilibrium, such that whatever arises, any kind of sensations, pleasurable, unpleasurable, or even neutral sensations arise, then one doesn't allow the mind to become dominated and go under the control of attachment, anger, confusion, the three poisons.
Oh yeah, that you Cuba de la and you can say Reba dawa shindu sha, reba dawa shindu sha, reba dawi tse, ani o kaso jamshin kong lebo yoba te leba yebi shindu, nyamba jobi tse yang sim tusum unju wadang, ani chungaji zure dan chawa. Chawa chede ani nyamba joba te la, ani reba dawa shindu sha.
So then the next is that one should place the mind similar to like cotton or wool, which are the basic stock for making blankets or whatever. When those are spread out, have been spread out, make the mind like that. So this example is, for example, when one has separated, stretched out the cotton and wool, and made it soft, and so that so that it's completely the tension has been totally released from it, just like that. Then, when one has placed the mind in equilibrium, in this state of equilibrium, then the mind it won't you make the mind separate from the coarse contact with the manifest forms of the three poisons: desire, hatred, and ignorance, as well as coarse contact with dullness and agitation. And then, having done that, then one places the mind in equilibrium.
Oh yeah, and that Jojo did that. Quanxing Jana as a seminar top gula dene, and a sine to do Quanxing Jansona, and a dinner suit to Mogaba, and a or Shalaya, younger suit to John Kokumares.
So these kinds of methods that have been explained here, these things actually arise as sort of, in a sense, automatically in the course of developing the 9 states of meditative stabilization, or placing the mind in those 9 mind states when you're developing shamatha. It's not, if one follows the procedure as it's been described in the great texts and so forth, then one will achieve all of these benefits of meditative stabilization as sort of byproducts of the process of developing meditative stabilization in that way, without having to do them deliberately, specifically in that way.
Oh yeah, that didn't you say that? Dagi Chine Savi Gavadi, Tendang Joa, Jabaj, Nosa, Tembinia Morin, Sashi, Sashi,
Metal drum,
Rabinizin, the Jambati, Sanjay,
Fishing to make the Fuaki,
Rogin, Raja,
Shogi, Dom, Gurat Mamandor.
Kania, Daya, me.